Hello, welcome to my channel. This is way off my normal topics, but it is bike related. Um, this here is going to be combining kind of my geek knowledge as a web applications developer and this app that I want to write. And I figured, I named my channel Shad Life roughly a year ago, changed the name because I want it to be more versatile and I can have different topics. It doesn't have to be 100% biking related, even though it's almost always going to be biking related because that's my true passion in life. And this app that I wanted to create is for reporting trails, mainly trail conditions. And I've thought about it for a long time, and I have no idea if this will ever come into fruition as something that people will actually use, but I might as well use it as kind of a teaching tool for what I know and um, just start from scratch and show my progress on my channel. And this is going to be something that takes a long time for me to do. So if this is the first video in a series of videos that might take 6 months or a year or however long this takes me, because this isn't going to be the primary focus of my channel. So what I started out with is I have this development directory on my computer, and this will come later, but I want to start with some basic HTML stuff, so I have a folder right there. And so I used Visual Studio Code, which is my IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment of choice to start working with. So in here, I'm just going to create a basic file, and I'm going to call it index because it is going to be my first file in my application. So index.html. So the reason I name this HTML is this is going to be an HTML file. What you're going to learn here in this one is the absolute basics of what a browser reads out on the internet. So when you go to Chrome and you go look at all these web pages and even YouTube, this is the core language HTML is for all of those applications that you see out on the internet or web pages or whatever you want to call them. So in order to start, you basically need to have your initial HTML tag, and everything for the page goes between these two tags. And I will show you in a few seconds how this matters. There's two key sections of an HTML file. There's the head, and this contains certain content, and then there's the body, and this contains other content. This content that goes in the head, this is like the viewer will not see this stuff. This is stuff that there is some exception to this, that has metadata, or you might insert your JavaScript or CSS files and things like that in here, specify certain things. You can put code either directly in here or you can import it from other places, and we'll get into that way later, but for simplicity's sake, the head is not what the viewer sees, it's other things. So the body is going to be where the viewer actually starts to see things. There is one thing that you can put in the head that the viewer will see, and that will be let's just call it trail reports for now. I have no idea if I want to keep it that way. So I'm going to save this, and then we're going to go back to this file. Let's open this thing here, and you'll see my index thing. Notice that there's already a Chrome icon to it. Generally, most operating systems will use, since it'll recognize that it's an HTML file, and then it'll put your default browser preference. So like if you have Safari on a Mac, it'll likely be Safari. Over here you see Microsoft Edge because I'm on a Windows computer, so on, but I actually have Chrome as my default browser, so that's why it chooses that. I'm going to double click on this file and open it because that Chrome icon in there is going to open my Chrome browser automatically. Or, well, or it's going to ask me. So this is kind of cool. So if I wanted to use Edge as my default, fine. Maybe that's because I haven't opened a file like this before on this computer. So there we go. It's going to open this, and notice up here we have a blank page. The reason for that is we have nothing in here. But if you look at this tab, let's close some of these other tabs so the tabs get bigger, because I don't really need all these open. At some point in here, Chrome will, well, maybe not. There we go. So now you can see that tab, right? And so it says Trail Reports. That is this title right here. So it's the first thing that you can do in HTML that the viewer will actually see. Right? Now, if we go into body and we want to have like a title in here, notice I get a lot of suggested things, so I could sit here and scroll forever to try to find something, right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an H1, which stands for heading 1 in HTML. And we'll just call this Trail Reports. Right? And then I'm going to hit save, and then we're going to go back to this page. We're going to refresh it. And there you go. Trail Reports shows up on this page in this HTML file. Super simple, super basic. That, in a nutshell, is how web pages work. I mean, it's really that simple. Obviously, things get way more complex than that, and we're on YouTube, and YouTube has this video streamer, and it's got this left side menu and stuff on the right, and ways you can comment on videos and all of that. So obviously there's a whole lot more going on in here, especially in this body part, than a simple heading like this. But this is the very start of basically how this works. And then if I want to go and use the paragraph tag and say this page will be used for reporting trail conditions, right? And now I'm going to save that, and we'll go and we'll reload, and there you see it. And notice it's a different size because HTML is recognized as recognizes this as paragraph text, and it recognizes this as heading text. And there are a bunch of different sizes, so there's H1 through H6, and as you go through them, the headings get a little smaller. So if you had a subheading of trail reports, you'd maybe do a H2 as your subheading. So I'm gonna leave this video right here with the absolute basics, because I don't want these videos to be super long. And if you're ever interested in web application development, this is your start right here, and I will put some links in the description to help you learn kind of what HTML does and what all the different tag names are and things like that. Cool. There we go, the very beginning of the app. Appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe.